As the infinity war between Racing Point and the rest of the teams engulf the F1 paddock, the Mercs show weakness, the young Cubs show their teeth, and Max roars. Let's jump the start.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Jump the Start Racing podcast. I am here with two of my closest friends. Ruben, hello.
What's going on?
Yhancy, how are you doing?
Hydrated.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth. Ruben, are you hydrated?
I'm actually sanitized.
You're sanitized.
Yes.
Yhancy, are you sanitized?
I am sanitized.
So for those that don't know,
I think.
make sure to pay attention to the Formula One YouTube channel, the radio highlights. Max Verstappen making sure his pit wall teammates were hydrated and sanitized.
He is such a caring guy.
You know what? When you're that good of a driver, you can do those things, right? Right? You never hear Giovinazzi asking.
No. That's why I'm not a fan. That's why I'm not a fan.
He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
So let's get into it a little bit. News coming into the weekend. We are still unsettled on what is going on with Sebastian Vettel and that seat. We saw the elbow bump heard around the world. Is anything going to come to pass with that, Yhancy?
Yeah, it will. I think the rumors are very loud right now that he already has that seat. The fact that Perez is out with the coronavirus, I think, has delayed that that announcement. And also, the way Vettel's driving right now, it seems like he's moved on. And I don't know if it's the car. It could very well be the car. But you can also see it in his body language. He's not really into it right now. And doesn't matter what driver you are, you shouldn't be that far off your teammate.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
Yeah.
He's not waiting for Red Bull anymore?
I don't think so anymore, but it's a done deal.
Were you wrong?
I could be wrong. Is my career over?
Is Ruben's career over? Oh, my God.
No, it's a done deal. They're just waiting for Paris to come back. Just like the rumors have been saying. You know, when there's when there's noise, there's water coming.
No, when what is that?
Exactly.
Oh, where there's smoke, there's fire.
There you go.
So, Ruben, on the other side of that equation, Checo Perez could not race again this weekend. And to me, in my experience with COVID, he will not be able to race this weekend. It's going to take a little time for him to be able to test negative. Hulkenberg was in his seat again. What do you expect coming out of Hulkenberg? And do you think that Checo Perez will be able to come in this week? Or is it going to be a longer time frame?
No, it's definitely going to be a longer time frame. He's not going to, even though the team is saying that they're like 95% sure that he's coming back, he's not coming back. He has to first test, to my opinion, test negative a couple of times. And they're not just going to bring him back just like that, in my opinion. He has to isolate a little longer. Meaning, we have to test you. And then, in between the two tests, have to be at least 10 days to make sure you're not, I guess, whatever the precautions they want to take after that. But he's definitely not coming. I would like Hulkenberg to stay and keep doing what he's doing. He did awesome last weekend.
If he tests positive, if he tests negative, he's in that seat.
I think
they
so.
tried to race it, like they tried to later fast track it back, where they were arguing that the test was actually the actual positive test was Wednesday instead of Thursday.
Because he had that inconclusive test first.
Exactly. So if they can get him back in that seat, they're going to get him back in that seat. And they need him right now because the way Stroll is driving is...
But he's not going to go into Stroll's seat.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. But, the person who's most experienced on that team driving that car is Perez.
And Hulkenberg.
I know, but I'm talking about with the current team. Hulkenberg is good and he did a great job this weekend. But Perez is their driver. He's been there. He knows that team. He knows that car inside and out. I think he probably would have gotten better results. And considering what happened during the race with the tires, he's pretty good on nursing those tires too.
Perry's always been very, very good driver when it comes to saving the tires.
That's a good point.
So this past weekend, even though Hulk did very good, Perez would have gotten a better position.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I thought that they needed to have Perez have a negative test before clearing. Am I mistaken with that?
They do. But the issue was that he tested positive again. So there was still virus in the system. So you can, and he's asymptomatic. He doesn't have any symptoms.
Right.
But the deal is that you must not have any virus in your system when you get tested in order for you to be let back into the paddock. And he did not. He was still testing positive. He has traces. Yeah. He has traces of it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he will test positive again and won't be able to race this week.
Okay. We'll see.
All of this is good for Hulkenberg.
Yeah. His stock is just shooting right on up.
He might have gotten himself a seat this weekend.
So before we get into that, let's hit my favorite drop.
Gentlemen, a short view back to the past.
Oh, man. 20 years ago, Niki Lauda. No, just the race weekend highlights coming into it. We want to address first, obviously, Max Verstappen. Well, I want to congratulate our good friend Yhancy, who predicted correctly it would be Max, Ham, then Bottas. So
in the right order.
In the right order.
And not only did I predict that, I said exactly why it would happen.
Yep. So after you give me the lotto numbers tonight,
yeah,
we'll be looking for Barcelona predictions. But Max Verstappen
23, 48, 52.
Max Verstappen ended up winning the race on the strength of his ability to manage the tires and Red Bull's also ability to have their car manage the tires and then being able to make a bold strategy call in Q2 to put them on hards instead of mediums and then really extend those tires far into the race. Yhancy, what did you think? Well, it was your call. You made the call. What did you think of that whole Red Bull strategy decision?
I thought it was genius. And as Christian Horner said after the race,
your boy.
My boy. No, that's Wellington's boy.
It is.
That's Wellington's boy.
Absolutely. He's a troll just like me.
Yeah. But he was surprised that nobody else went for that, considering that they knew how bad the was.
Degradation.
I'm sorry. They knew how bad the degradation was at the first race, especially when the race winner came home on 3 wheels. Why wouldn't you use the tire that best performed that weekend? Which was which was the medium last. It was the medium last race.
That it became the hard.
And it became the hard this week. So, and the Red Bull is put in this position, obviously, because their car, as good as it was this weekend, is still not as fast as the Mercedes. So, knowing Red Bull, and they always make these calls, and they also made a great call in the second pit stop to pit Max during the race. They always know how to make the right strategy calls and put their drivers in the right position. And when you have a driver like Max, especially when he can get out front, you can manage those tires better. It was a masterful call by Red Bull. It was a masterful drive by Verstappen, and Verstappen is showing every bit why he is such an awesome driver and he's going to be a future world champion.
Ruben, we heard...
Wait, because I want to emphasize what Yhancy was saying right now as well. We also got to remember that this weekend to me looked like Red Bull is coming back to what they were before. Before, Red Bull was the team always taking those kind of weird risks within F1, changing the strategies around, double stacking, which Mercedes now does it as a freaking hobby, Yeah. So all of that stuff, Red Bull always did it. They were getting kind of reserved about it. But they did it this weekend again, and it worked out perfectly for them.
I don't see why anybody would be surprised that they did that.
Exactly. No, yeah.
I just don't see. They always do that.
I'm sorry, Ross. What you were gonna-
No. My question to you was,
or was going to be because I interrupted you.
yeah, thank you. My question to you was going to be, Max was told over the radio, hey, you're back 1 second. Don't kill your tires because you're on the hards and you're supposed to be out there much longer on those tires to kind of just do a big time overcut. We heard also Max respond, I'm not driving like a grandma. I have the 2 Mercedes right in front of me. I'll put the team radio highlight video in the show notes. Definitely check it out. But what did you think when you heard that? And it kind of ties in to what you were saying, that Red Bull is really pushing and it's reaching, and wherever they see a weakness, they're going to grab it, just like Austria in previous years, Silverstone now this year.
Listen, in a lot of ways, Max had that killer instinct right there. So pretty much I have my I have my prey, and I know I could just destroy my prey right now. Why are you keeping me back? Of course I'm not doing that. Let's go. And they did. Awesome. The only thing I take back from that was I think they brought him in too early to change the tires. Obviously, he played out into stride later on, but he could have kept going on those tires, and he would have done even much better.
Nah, because you know what he did? They basically okey-doked
Yeah.
Mercedes to come in for those tires.
Yeah.
What, Wellington, would you have, you're the strategy guy here, would
Yes,
you
sir.
have made that same call as far as telling Max to keep back a little bit further from the Mercs?
No, because Max, so what was interesting is Max said, I'm not driving like a grandma. What other driver on the grid would be able to say that to their team? You won't get that from Leclerc or Vettel. You won't get that from Ham or Bottas.
You would probably get it from
Danny Rick.
from Ham.
Danny Rick. Nobody would say that. Danny
Maybe.
Rick would say that.
You would get it from Ham. Ham wouldn't go ahead and pull away from team orders, but Ham has done it before.
My point is that they have so much trust in Max as both his own in-car strategist and engineer, and like to be able to just kind of figure it out as the race comes to him. The issue that developed for Ham and Bottas became a problem for them last week because they were racing each other. If you guys realize, last week at the British Grand Prix, Bottas was within 2 seconds of Hamilton almost the entire time.
Yeah,
and
they
that
didn't
caused exactly. So that there was a lot of speculation that caused Hamilton to kind of burn through his tires
to push
as well as Bottas. So
pushing.
why, if I am on a tire that's supposed to give me more race length, why would I back off? Especially if I have the pace on what's supposed to be a tire that I think was supposed to be 1.3 seconds per lap slower. I'm not letting these guys get away from me and just run their own race and do whatever they want, where I can cause them to have problems.
But I also think at that point they didn't know how good that tire was.
Yeah,
The hard.
I think Red Bull didn't have all the faith behind the heart. So much faith.
Knowing that if you can, and this is me maybe thinking what Max is thinking, knowing that you can actually save your tires more if you're ahead, if you're not chasing anybody, because you don't get that backwash. Wouldn't it be better for him to attack and try to get past at least one of them and split them so they're not completely, at least you get some track position?
Right. I think that they were going for that, and then they pitted Bottas.
Okay.
So then it becomes let me wait this out, because Ham and Bottas were on the same tire. So one thing that Toto Wolff said after the race that I thought was really telling was that when Bottas pitted the second time on the hards, remember that he pitted 15 laps or so, or he pitted before Lewis, like by a lot of laps.
Yeah.
He came in, and what they realized was that he still had a lot of tire left. Like they could have left him out there. It just looked on TV and to their photographers or whatever, their spotters, worse than what it actually was. So it was the absolute right call for Max to stay out as long as he did, whereas Bottas did not even come close to matching that stint length.
Right.
Listen, I think when it came to the call and stuff like that with the grandma thing, but going back to that, Ham would at least say, "Hey man, I got him." Like, don't stop me, kind of stuff. Like,
You're talking about the guy.
Yeah,
that,
but it. I'm sorry.
No, you're talking about the guy that's like, Bono, my tires. What
No, he always,
like, come on.
he always cries.
Yeah, and
about
it's
it.
also easy to say that when you know that you have the fastest car. Not taking anything away from Hamilton, because I'm not even going to go with that argument and saying that, oh, he has the best car, of course he's going to overtake him. No, because Hamilton has shown that even on the day that he's not the fastest car, he's still at least a second behind the leader, and he chases everybody down.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to tell you is that you also have that confidence of knowing out of the first 4 races that car is faster than any other car on the track by far. The only thing that they did not expect was that those tires were going to go, and I think that was a setup issue. I think they overcompensated for the last race. I think that what happened was that you can see it if you look at the shots of the tires that were going, they were clearly saying that the rears were going, and that the tire opposite, which was, I think, was the right-hand tire, the right-hand tire was going, when in the last race, the tire that was going was the left-hand. So I think they put the balance to the back of the car and also to the right of the car, and those were the tires that were going. And I think they overcompensated it, and they also they underestimated how bad the degradation was going to be on those tires.
Yeah, I just don't believe that any other driver on the grid would have said, I'm not backing off. I don't want to drive like a grandma. I'm just going.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right in a way. I don't want to comment on anybody else's aggressiveness, but I think that, yes, you're right in the sense that Max is the most aggressive driver on the grid.
Yes,
for sure. He takes no prisoners. And that's, listen, If I think if he was in equal machinery, he would beat Hamilton, which is a crazy.
In equal machinery will be Indy. I don't want that.
There's a whole separate series for that. You're 100% right. So I'm looking at the Pirelli graphic. Max ended up pitting on his first stint on lap 26. Then he pitted again in lap 32 off of the mediums, and Bottas came in at the same time. That's where Toto Wolff. Bottas had pitted on lap 13 to lap 32, so that's 19 laps. That's where Toto Wolff had said that he still had a lot left on his tire.
On the second stop.
On the second stop, the first hards.
Yes.
So Lewis Hamilton went 27 laps. So it kind of matches up exactly to what Verstappen did on the old hards from qualifying. I don't know. I think that they just kind of played themselves, like you guys said, with the setup.
Yeah, and then in the process, they let Bottas out to dry.
None of them
was leading the race.
You know what it is? None of them had any trust on the way the tires were looking. I don't think Red Bull had any trust. Even though Max was doing awesome in those tires, Red Bull did not trust those tires. And the way they looked on the Mercedes car,
like
even right away, I was saying, what the hell are they doing?
It was crazy. Like 5 laps after they put them on, they were already graining.
then they ride the middle blister. You're like, wait a minute, that tire is almost brand new. What the hell is going on over here?
Hamilton and Bottas were saying that they already felt after 3 laps, they already felt that the tires
were going.
Yeah,
I think they were also putting up a position that they had to push 120% all the time this week because Max was so aggressive. So they had to constantly keep pushing. Just as last week between the two of them, they constantly kept pushing.
No, thank God all this happened because this race was great.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's one of those things like Max has said before. I don't care if the car freaking blows up. I'm like, he's that.
He is that guy.
I appreciate that. It's almost Schumacher-esque. And I feel like this is what we need in the sport kind of right now. Just as a little bit of a preview, the race in Barcelona. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Barcelona in August, but I haven't been. I'm told it's going to be freaking hot. And we may be seeing some problems there again. It won't be to the degree that we had in yesterday's or in this past race at the 70th Anniversary Grand Prix, but it'll be similar to what
that was a mouthful.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It'll be like what we had at the British Grand Prix, where you could be staring down the barrel of a two-stopper, but it'll be close.
So we're looking forward. I mean, I checked the tire graphic to see what tires they were bringing. They're bringing the same tires.
The same company as this week.
No, as the previous weekend.
Right.
British Grand Prix.
Right.
Gotcha.
So we'll see what happens. But let's keep
go. So that about wraps it up for winners. The top 3, the podium. One of the things that came out of this race, I'm getting frustrated, and I am not a Vettel fan or a Ferrari fan, in any way, but I want to say this very carefully. I'm starting to really sympathize with Sebastian Vettel, who has a car that's not set up the way that he likes it. However, you cannot spin in the first lap by your own mistake. Yhancy, I know you want to say something here. What did you think of that whole during the race and post race with Ferrari and Vettel?
I have a hard time sympathizing with somebody who is a 4-time world champion, who's been in this sport for X number of years, a very long time. He's a veteran. He's one of the oldest drivers on the grid. And for you to be blaming a team for everything bad that has happened to you when you have clearly, it's on video, he has clearly made mistakes. Granted, we know, and this is why the chairman of Ferrari came out and said we're not going to be winning any races till 2022. That is a bold statement coming from anybody at Ferrari.
From any team, not anybody at Ferrari, from any team.
So you already know, and he as a driver already knows what he's in store for. Obviously, the car is not good. For you to speculate that the team, because basically that's what he's doing. He's speculating that the team is almost sabotaging what he's doing on the racetrack. I think it's a bit too far. Have they helped him? No. I'm not going to defend Ferrari in any of the strategy calls or even that even the strategy calls this race. But you do not help yourself when you spin lap 1 because now you're starting on the back foot. And now what you're asking for is the strategy to change on your part because now you have another car that is running ahead of you and they have to focus on him.
I think his problem started in qualifying. He should have qualified on a better position.
Started there in practice, man.
Yeah.
He's been doing that all weekend. Frankly, all season. I think the only highlight was maybe Hungary.
Yeah. So, as I said, I have a lot of sympathy for Vettel because of this.
Jump the start.
So no.
He jumped he's promoting us.
He jumped the start.
I mean, granted, we have to also give him credit for just being a spin. Because when you look at the replay of what actually happened to him in the situation that he got in, he could have destroyed Sainz. And he was able to pull it off, and that's when he actually spun out. Because he was weaving, but he was headed right at Sainz.
I think he already lost control of that.
He had already lost control. I just think that at this point it's sour grapes. And you can tell
they can make wine.
He can't. Yeah. He can't. You can tell he's not in it. And granted, Ferrari maybe didn't handle this the right way as far as telling him that he's not coming back next year. But yeah, you got to be a professional, and you are an elder statesman. He's one of the drivers that represent that is part of the hierarchy of the Grand Prix Drivers Association. You need to, if you're not gonna drive well, don't start blaming other people.
So the only thing that I'm gonna say that I sympathize with him in that he was put on. He was on his original stint, which was hards coming into the race. They brought him into the pits at lap 22, put him on another set of hards. They took him off of those hards. On lap 33, he still had 19 laps on the mediums that were actually old mediums. So I don't know. I feel like they really kind of did not help him with that strategy, and that was part of the reason that he was upset.
Yeah, but it's also part of I haven't sat down and analyzed why they would do that. It seems like an odd call. But remember that you have 2 cars on the track. So if at any point he affects the drive that Leclerc's having, where he's running, close to a podium spot. You don't want to mess with that either, especially if they can come together, and we know what happens if they come together.
They take each other out.
Yeah, and you don't want. You at least want one car to finish in the points in P4.
It's a tough place to be at.
Speaking of P4, Charles Leclerc actually with I don't know what his deal is on Saturdays versus Sundays, but he kind of puts it together. He started 8th on the grid, ends up 4th, just outside the podium position. He just kind of puts it together. His second consecutive 4th, same track, but he is doing well in that regard.
World Championship material.
I don't know.
On the way to be best of the rest.
Okay, World Championship material there.
Exactly.
Why can't he qualify higher? The car sucks. The car's horrible. It's a truck.
I don't get this because we say that it's okay for Vettel, but it's not okay for.
Yeah, but one thing is if you don't have the speed to qualify high, at least have a good race.
Dude, you're allowed to make a mistake.
A mistake? You're talking about Vettel? One mistake?
During this weekend, yeah, a mistake.
A mistake?
Yes.
He can't even. He qualified like in 13th.
Listen. See, you hear how Yhancy speaks regarding Vettel? That's how a Ferrari fan speaks about the drivers. Vettel's time is up. And
no, I'm not gonna say that.
Meaning up at Ferrari.
Yes, okay.
I'm talking about just at Ferrari in this case.
Where did Vettel qualify?
He was on 11th at the starting grid.
11th. He was 11th. How far off? What was the pace? How far was it?
I don't have that information in front of me.
It was a few tenths, probably.
It was 4 tenths.
4 tenths. That's a long time. That's a very long time. And for you to blame it on traffic because you're in traffic, dude, you made that own traffic yourself. You spun out. Sorry. You're correcting me. My God.
Look, he didn't spin out. He didn't spin out during qualifying though. He spun out.
I get it, but he's just not comfortable in that car, and we get that. But you have, you can't. If you know that you're not qualifying high up, just do not complain when you make that mistake in the race, because at least in the race, it's been proven that by your very own teammate that you can get that car up a little bit higher.
I think Vettel should just be comfortable saying, okay, I know I'm on my way out. I'm out.
Here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a little nugget. Charles Leclerc pitted lap 18, went on to do a one stop off of the hards. Sebastian Vettel was pitted lap 22, then lap 33 to go on to old mediums. Why? That doesn't make any sense. You think that a 4-time champion, a veteran, the mayor of F1 could not finish from lap 22 if Leclerc could finish from lap 18?
Who's been finishing higher?
Okay, so we're going to go back and determine from ancient history what's supposed to happen. So in theory,
you're
Vettel's going to be the champion this year because he won 4 previously.
So what you're saying is that Ferrari is screwing over Vettel.
What I'm saying is that their strategy during that race for Vettel just did not make any sense to me as an outsider looking in.
Okay.
If in that same car, Leclerc could do, 34 laps on the hards to get to the end on one stop, I would have to assume that Vettel could do 30. It's less laps. I don't know.
It's not Vettel's car anymore. It's tailored differently. It's not tailored for Vettel's driving style. I don't know why.
That's exactly, you hit it on the head. I don't think that he would have, because it's not suited to his driving style.
But we have to give a lot of credit to Leclerc. He did 18 laps on mediums. I don't think nobody else did that. That's
incredible. That was an incredible drive. And
because he did not finish in the podium, he's not going to get that much credit for it.
Yeah, but
no. He's a Ferrari driver. He's going to get credit for it.
The Ferrari world, but not as a whole.
It's 4th place, and
these guys are happy with a 4th place. The Ferrari guys.
Yeah, exactly. We're literally happy with the 4th place. It's 4th place, and he's been on the podium twice already this season.
So to that end, he is actually fourth in the Constructors' Championship. He has surpassed Lando Norris. He's up 45-38. Below Lando Norris is Alex Albon at 36. And below him is Lance Stroll at 28, surprisingly. So
because they did not lose the driver's points. They lost the construction points.
correct.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So actually, let's move on right to that topic. Racing Point and their weekend. And I guess the question leading this off, and I'm going to ask it to Yhancy, who actually asked it to us while watching the race. Did we overrate Racing Point based on what they were able to do in Austria?
I'm leaning towards yes. But I don't want to take out the possibility that they're just making the wrong calls also. It's just the inexperience. And I think that maybe you can say that the protests have taken a toll on them as well.
Yeah.
You know, it could be so many things, but we know the car is fast because at one point, I think during the race, Nico Hülkenberg was actually lapping just as fast as the Mercedes. Yeah. But I don't know what to tell you. It's just we expect so much from them, especially at a track like this, and they haven't been able to bring home the results.
I don't think so. I think we are the one that are expecting so much because of that's the news that they keep feeding us. Oh, we could do even better. Oh, you guys are challenging. Oh, we could do better. If they would just stay quiet, fight out their, what's going on in the backfield, in the back of the back with them within themselves and the other teams, they probably would be, right where they are, or maybe a little below, and we will be happy because they're still making a ton of improvement compared to where they were last year.
It's very similar to what McLaren and Alonso were doing in 2017 and 2018.
Yeah, but they were in the back of the pack. Though.
I know they were in the back of the pack. What they were saying is that they had their chassis was very good, and they're gonna be making progress soon, and they never did. I mean, it's a different situation, but what I'm trying to tell you is what I think what you're trying to get at is that they're giving themselves these expectations, and then we're expecting it from them.
Yes,
and then when they don't get it, it's like, what the hell's going on?
I don't think they're giving themselves that expectation, and here's why. They did well in Austria. They looked great in Hungary. So we come into Silverstone, and what happens? Their number one driver, their veteran, the guy that helps them set up the car, goes out. Fine. Last week was a lost week for them. Hülkenberg, off his couch, off of eating, tres leche cake, jumps on a plane and is able to join them.
Say that again. What he was eating?
Tres leche. So,
no, I mean that wasn't Hülkenberg's fault. That was just the team.
I get it, but then you lose the ability. Like Perez knows the car. He knows how to set it up. He knows what's wrong with it. What they've done throughout the years and throughout this whole COVID thing to be able to get it to where it is now. Then you come into this past weekend. Let's not forget Hülkenberg qualified third ahead of Max.
Mm-hmm.
So the car is plenty fast. I think that they just need to, if Hülkenberg had a whole season in the car, you'd see him squeeze more performance out of it and potentially get a podium. If Perez was in the other seat and not Lance Stroll, he probably would have been fourth. He would not have been on the podium because we saw what happened during the race. But I think that this is just the issues that have been surrounding them with the diseases and stuff has just affected their ability to produce results.
Yeah, but wouldn't you also take into account the fact that they couldn't get the car started?
But guess what? That was a Mercedes bolt that sheared off.
Yes.
Well, but that doesn't matter. You still got to get the car started. You're the mechanics. They couldn't get the car started. I don't know what. They said that the tires were going, and that seemed to be a theme all across the F1 paddock as far as people saying that the tires were dropping off. We thought that it was, Papa Stroll calling in and saying, "Yo."
Well, yeah. So during the race, man, this was so upsetting. While we were watching it, we were all just like, "What?" The pit wall for Racing Point, calls into Hulkenberg right after he goes on to, I believe he goes on to the hards.
He was on the hards.
He was on the hards. He went to softs.
Right,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a long stint. I don't have my data on me anymore. It wasn't a long stint, and they call him in to put him on softs. We all said, "Oh, that's Daddy Stroll calling in, saying, this new guy can't come in and beat my son." They said after the fact, Racing Point, even on social media, said, Lawrence Stroll is not the team strategist. He can't make those calls. He doesn't know what's going on. What do you think, Ruben? What do you think is going on? Is the fix in for Sonny Boy Lance, or is it something that
He sure does look like it. But today they corrected themselves. Let's believe him. Let's give him a little benefit. Let's believe him, right? Because Hulk also mentioned that he had some vibrations in the tires. That's why they brought him in.
I thought that Hulk was confused about it, to be honest.
Me too, but we're not.
But, all right.
What would make you think that he was confused?
I thought, man, maybe I misheard the radio, the team radio, but I thought that he said that he was initially like confused as to what, or maybe it was like right after the race they were interviewing, he was confused on why they brought him back in so soon. And then later on, he was like, "Oh yeah, I did have vibrations, etc."
So he corrected himself afterwards.
That's what I. That's
Is that
what
to
I
cover
thought I
Stroll?
heard. Maybe
No,
I'm
I
wrong.
don't. No, I think he said straight. From what I saw, I think he said straight up that, that
He has some
he had vibrations and that he thought that he could not make it to the end of the race without changing tires, and then they put him on the softs, which was, I don't know, whatever. The softs sucked this weekend. I don't know.
They
why
did
we
not
put
work
them on
at
the
any
softs.
time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anytime
why.
they were used, they would not.
Maybe
work.
that's all they had left. But
Maybe.
yeah,
I mean, it was Hulk, then Albon, then Stroll at the time that they called for him to pit. I think Albon was going to pass him anyway, and it finished as Albon, Stroll, and Hulk. So
where did Albon finish?
Albon finished.
Yhancy did not do the picture this week.
No,
Okay.
No, I
Albon
didn't.
finished. So
I
look,
would've
Albon
remembered.
finished 5th, Stroll
Okay.
6th, and Hulkenberg 7th.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think he probably would. You're right. We wouldn't have gone. I think Albon would have gone past.
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
He was.
definitely, yeah.
Albon was a man on a mission. this
Albon got on
race, man.
steroids to the middle of the race, and he just
Yeah.
passed everybody.
He drank a Red Bull.
There you go.
He hydrated.
He hydrated. That's
He
exactly right.
hydrated.
And the hydration was a Red Bull.
Max phoned in. He said, "Listen, man, stay
What are you
hydrated."
Press the button.
Yes.
Sanitize the button and then press it.
So we saw Hulk qualify 3rd, fall down to Max, who obviously he was just a man on a mission, right? Stroll, again, where would you guys rank Stroll? As I said, he finished 6th. And then his starting grid position was also 6th. So he just started where he finished.
He sucks. That's the ranking of it. But he did have a good start. Yhancy pointed that out right at the beginning, because I would have never, just two Pink Panthers going over each other. But Stroll really jumped.
He does that well.
He does have good starts.
I think when he was with Williams, he was the leading driver in making overtakes at the start of races.
Wow.
Yeah, so he has a history of doing that. He can start off well. It's just when he gets into the races, maybe it's his racecraft. You just pointed out today he's only 21. Maybe it's the youth. Listen,
Maybe it's the money.
I don't. Considering the talent that there is, right now in F1 with all these young guns, and this race really showed how good these guys are. He seems to be on the bottom of the total.
I got one for you, Yhancy. Who would you prefer to have in your car? Hulk or Stroll? Stroll has been on the podium. Hulk, no.
That doesn't matter, man. That does not
I'm
matter.
just asking you real
because you know what? Hulk has proven throughout his career that he is a consistent point
Solid
scorer.
driver, yeah.
And what you need is points.
To win the construction.
Forget about one random podium that you got at a crazy race in Baku.
Oh, you remember that race? Huh?
I do. That was a great race. And he couldn't even hold second place because he should have gotten second place.
Yep.
He got pipped at the end
He did drink from the shoey though.
Bottas.
by
By
Bottas.
Bottas,
yeah. He
Yeah,
did
I mean, it
drink
was
that
his
shit.
first podium, but I'd rather take a whole lot of points than one podium.
Go ahead, Wills.
Well, yeah. In general, in life, you want consistency and not volatility,
Yes.
which is you get a lot of volatility from Lance Stroll. But Yhancy brought up a good point. Lance Stroll is only 21. He's got a long way to go. He could probably still develop a lot of racecraft. So one of the things that has been really emerging this year is just all these young guns. Like there was another battle between Leclerc and Norris, who kids essentially. Albon and Gasly, both of them 24 years old, both of them Red Bull developmental drivers, going at it as well. We saw Albon and Ocon get into it as well. Ocon is 23. Then there's also George Russell, who, we obviously won't talk about him because he's just languishing at the back of the field.
The only person that talks about him is Ruben.
His love of the Williams team. But
History.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
yeah, exactly. Well, his birthday's next week. So,
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
so Ruben, what do you make of the future, not just the future of F1, but then also let's not forget that the race winner, Max Verstappen, is in that same age range as well. What do you see as the kind of the immediate future of F1, meaning like next year and the following year? And then down the line, who do you believe will be coming out of there as, all things equal, coming out of there as champion material?
I mean, the youngest are definitely showing that they're going to be leading F1 in the next couple of years. We cannot, compare it to the old guns, you can say, because the only old guy that's in F1 that is not up to pace right now is better on Kimi. Because Ham is old, but he's still on the top. He's killing it, right, where he's going to go. But the young guns definitely have a long stamp of career left in F1 because they're, obviously, they're always going to be young people coming in. I hate to say it, but Max, I hate to say it. I was going to mention somebody else, but definitely Max. Max shows the hunger.
Were you going to say Russell?
No, Leclerc. No, because right now, honestly, Leclerc showing that he could take a piece of crap car to, close to podium.
Yeah.
The car is super slow. He's bringing it to fourth. He's a guy on a lucky podium the other day, but he's been a fourth. He's at the front, not quite, in the third, the first three front, but he's close. He's creeping up there. And then you got Max that's super hungry. I think Max will fight any of them before letting them get up in front of him. And I'm talking about fight, I'll take my headrest and throw it at you so you don't pass me.
Yeah, see, what do you think of this? And I know you were very excited during the Leclerc and Norris mid-race battle.
Oh, no. That one was, I love that. Go ahead, Jens.
Listen, the only thing that's better than seeing these guys fight right now would be to see these guys fight each other
In the front.
for a position that matters. Fighting each other for a championship points. This is exciting.
But we did see that last year in Austria with Leclerc and Verstappen, and it was freaking awesome.
And it was
awesome.
But that's the thing. We only get it in glimpses. We should be getting this every single race.
Impacts.
And this is what F1 is trying to get us with the new Concord agreement, where on the cost cap and bringing these teams a little bit closer together so that this is not this humongous gap between the front runners and the midfield.
Yeah.
This is what we need, and this is literally, we're entering a golden age where you have so much talent and such good drivers, and they're very mature. Why? One of the reasons why I love Fernando Alonso is because in 2017 and 2018, when that McLaren was horrible, my man still managed when he could to get the car into the points. I remember in Baku.
Oh my God, I was going to say that. Baku.
I remember in Baku when his tire went flat. He did basically what Lewis Hamilton did the last race.
lap, yeah.
But instead, it was a longer track and he did almost the entire lap
And it was on 2 tires, not 4.
on 2 tires
3.
and destroyed his floor. And he still finished in the points. Nobody else is going to do that. Lewis Hamilton has won a race every single year in F1, and he's had cars that were horrible with McLaren, and we know his stint with Mercedes wasn't that good when he began. These good championship drivers pull out these results out of nowhere where nobody expects them because they're good drivers. It's not by chance.
Hence, Max and Leclerc.
Yes, and Carlos Sainz did the same thing last season too. In those McLarens, he got a podium and he was consistently 5th all the time. This is exciting to watch, and if we can, if F1 can get these cars closer together, man, this is gonna be so much fun to watch.
I want to know I would like to look even closer into the Leclerc Norris battle that we saw, because it looked like Leclerc, because when he did the launch, it looked like he had just finished passing the DRS detention zone, whatever. So when he did the launch, that he was pretty much almost wheel to wheel him. He opened the DRS, and that's when he was able to take off.
I mean, it was great because those cars are closely matched. I think maybe you could even say maybe that the McLarens could be a little bit faster than the Ferrari.
I got another one too. It's also showing that Norris is a clean driver.
Yes.
Because he's been already in a couple of battles and they've been super clean.
It shows the maturity.
Yes.
It shows because last season, I don't know where he would have been last season, but you can clearly see the jump that he's made and how much better he has gotten.
So what I'm going to say here is that, number one, to respond to what Ruben said, is that whole DRS thing, I think Leclerc kind of was just
timing it,
just being the wiser of the two, hanging back to make sure that he's behind Norris at the DRS detection line so that he could pick it up and just bounce on the straight. And then you see it's so cool to have seen these guys. I was very into the what I'll call the E-Pre's, when they were playing the Formula One game online against each other, right? It's like watching kids having gone to college and now they're working together.
And
it's
like, talking about Formula E.
No.
Yeah. E-Prix. Whoa, wait a minute. E-Prix.
Yeah.
Virtual Grand Prix.
The virtual Grand Prix. There you go.
The virtual Grand Prix. So it's cool to have seen these guys, like, it's almost like having gone to college and now they're working together. But there was one guy that everybody wanted to join. And so you see these guys being respectful, right, to each other. There was one guy that everybody wanted to join that wasn't as respectful last year to Leclerc, and his name is Max. Yes. He is just elbows out, and I don't think it would have been as clean if it was Max and Norris.
No, it wasn't.
And we already saw that it wasn't clean last year when it was Max and Leclerc at both Silverstone and Austria.
And when and if that ever happens again, that's not going to be a clean fight either, because after that happened in Austria, we went to Silverstone and you saw Leclerc and Max fighting, and Leclerc put his elbows out
and pushed them off the road.
Yeah, well, but that's the whole thing. Now we know where we're at,
right?
So
it's not that buddy comedy like, oh yeah, now we're working together. It's not Silicon Valley, right? The show. The other thing for me is once you start seeing these guys retire, the Hamiltons, the Vettels, the Kimis, the guys that these young dudes grew up watching and they're like gods to them. They walk on water. Then you're going to start seeing more of the aggressiveness come out, in the sense that we had Alex Albon, I want to say, be almost too timid when he encountered Hamilton in Brazil, when he encountered him in Austria. There could have been in my opinion, there could have been some things he could have done there. You have almost in season one, it was almost deferential for half a season between Leclerc and Vettel, where Leclerc would just kind of just let him go, let him do. He's the number one driver, and then later on, as he started picking up more of his pace,
you saw he was faster.
He was faster, yeah. So it's not as deferential of, okay, whatever, he's the number one driver, let him get the pit priority, let him, pass. It's not going to be as much of that.
I'm going to push back on you with Albon, though, because I think Albon is aggressive, and we can see that because he moves up the field. He's actually he's proven to be more aggressive than Gasly was in that same car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where Albon went wrong, I think, especially with those battles with Hamilton, was he was too impatient. He doesn't know how to handle that situation. And yes, it's almost like a differential because it's like, oh, I'm going up against
the God.
I'm the God. Yeah, like I'm going up arguably the best driver in F1 history.
Yeah.
You know, once he gets over that, hopefully we can see a proper fight. But at the very least, has the balls to actually try and overtake him.
I don't know. I think the future, yeah, it's going to suck to see an all-time great like Hamilton and Vettel eventually go, but the future is really freaking bright in Formula One, even if these same guys just stay in the sport and kind of rotate teams.
They already started doing that.
Yeah.
But it looks mighty good.
Yeah.
Future looks bright.
I just want them to do more virtual Grand Prix. I think that was
more virtual.
Cool. Dress has different fruit, maybe an apple, an orange, not just a banana.
I want to see Max as a bottle of Purell.
Oh my God.
All right, so just the remainder of kind of just smaller events during the race. Haas, Alfa Romeo, Williams, just better luck next time. They were
nowhere, bro.
Absolutely nowhere. Like it was.
Was they even part of the race?
Well,
it's like
Magnussen retired, so we know he was actually there.
Last year we were talking about Williams just languishing in the back. Now we're talking about multiple teams. It's like the back marker group got bigger.
Yes. Are they making a competition between themselves? So like, who could get lapped faster or something?
Best of the worst.
No. Like, I bet you're gonna get lapped faster this race. No, I am. No, you are.
It's so bad. It's bad, and it sucks seeing Kimi back there.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Kimi might actually retire. I don't think he signed up for this. At least he was running in the points last season.
Yes, he's definitely not.
Actually, the only thing of note for Williams is once again George Russell qualifies into Q2.
Goes into Q2, yeah.
Dude, he puts in some monster.
It's
laps,
crazy,
man.
As long as it's just him, not race conditions, he's good.
And these are not laps where he just makes it into Q2. I mean, the guy is up there in the top 10. It's crazy. He will be exciting to watch, especially if he ever gets in. Well, he will. I mean,
eventually,
good drivers get into good cars. So when he gets into a good car, watch out for George Russell. He's gonna be up there, man.
Another thing we didn't mention yet is my boy Danny Rick. I thought he was gonna get 4th place, and he spun out.
Man, that's
tough luck on him.
He's chomping at the bit to get to McLaren, though, man. Get that Mercedes engine under him,
right? So that's another one where the Renault car, man, I just don't know where the heck it is. Again, I just feel like week to week, last week it was awesome. This week, just where the heck was it? We saw Esteban Ocon finish 8th place. He studying at the feet of Alain Prost, and he just did well. He actually did a one-stop race, but Ricciardo just kind of doomed his race right at the start. What do you think of the spread between the two Renault drivers?
I think Renault, they're going to be constantly this year in the points, but it's going to vary from week to week how away from the points they are, or how close to the front of the midfield they're going to be. But they're going to be constantly there.
Do you think that they can ever get to the point where they're consistently in the points? Because it feels to me that they're very inconsistent, and it's not new. This is something that's been going off and on. I mean, they're off and on, but what I'm saying has been going on the past few seasons.
I think we have to first see a couple of clean races from them to take, to get some faith behind them constantly being the point as well. For example, Ocon got a penalty, so he started 13th or something like that.
Yeah, but isn't being
and he finished 8th, so he did well.
But
then Danny Rick spun out, and ended up being 12th, 13th, or 14th.
But part of being a good team is having clean races.
It's what
putting yourself in that position.
It's exactly what I said earlier. Consistency versus volatility. You need to be consistent to win in F1.
You can literally write the word inconsistent across on the side of that car, because that's every year. It's the same thing. and then we get all excited to see them because they had a really good race at the British Grand Prix,
Right.
and then at the 70th Anniversary Grand Prix, they were literally nowhere. I mean, it sucks to see because you can tell that Ocon is getting better.
Yes.
And Danny Rick is on it. Like, it's not like last season where he was getting used to the car. Like, he's on it already. You can tell he's on it.
And he's going to be gone.
He didn't do this. He didn't do that well. He got
didn't.
14th is where he ended up.
Well, I mean, he spun out.
He's spun out,
He took a lesson from Sebastian Vettel, just like he called it
and
Latifi.
They were dancing partners this race.
So we talked about inconsistent. A team that is very consistent now is AlphaTauri. I feel they are consistently impressing me with. Pierre Gasly didn't do that well this week, but they are constantly fighting for the points. And I'm not sure if it's because there's so many teams that are bad, or if it's because these guys are just kind of really outdoing where they're supposed to end up.
I was just about to ask you that question. Do you think it's because everybody else is
No, they're
six
actually
cars that are like really bad. So
they're not.
Yeah.
The AlphaTauri is doing very, very good, especially Gasly. Gasly, even after the race, complained on the way their pit strategy worked out with him. That the first stop that he did, he was not ready to stop yet. He said he still had life in those tires, and they brought him in. And when he ended up being out after that stop, completely in traffic, and then his tires were never good after that as well.
They're that good. It's not because all the other teams are bad. They're that good.
They're improving. They keep improving.
Because they do finish in.
And they have two good drivers.
They do finish in the points. It's not like they're just, it's not like they're languishing just ahead of the best of the worst.
right.
They get their car in the points, and Gasly, when he qualifies in pretty good positions too. He makes it consistently into Q2.
I think that their problem has just been bad luck. I think that all the Red Bull cars had problems at the start of the season, and then like Kvyat had that crazy crash last week. And there's just been like a couple of instances where they just had some bad luck that has affected their races. They're 22 points behind Renault in the championship for 6th place. It seems like getting 1 or 2 points per race. It seems like it's a lot, but really the effect of Kvyat having that bad luck has widened that gap.
Yeah, they should be higher up,
So,
considering the way Gasly's driving.
Gasly's having a career year
career
so
year,
far.
yeah.
Comeback driver of the year.
So we're talking about the best of the rest. Where the whole McLaren thing, did we overrate them? I feel like we've been. It's such a weird season this year.
We're still trying to figure out where
everybody
at.
lays out. Yeah.
Well, every year I always overrate McLaren just because of the fact that I want these teams that have the history of being in the front to come back to the front. So every year you're going to ask me, where do you see McLaren? Right at the top again. Even
next year you make it your wish.
Yeah. Even next year they're probably not going to be, 100%, there, but they'll be better next year as well.
I think McLaren are where they're at, where they're supposed to be at. They're a good team, obviously.
4th best team behind Mercedes, Red Bull, Racing Point.
4th best team. They're.
Would you say that they're 4 behind?
No.
Do you put them behind Ferrari too?
I don't know, man. I think their car's
Renault?
better than Ferrari. Yeah.
Do you put them behind Renault?
Definitely not.
No,
So that's fourth.
they're above. But yeah, you're right. But as the thing is that I keep thinking that Ferrari's up there and they're not.
I think
I always think the top 3, and it's just a shock to the system not to see Ferrari in the top 3.
But a Big Panther.
Yeah, but and then you have Racing Point. It's just that I think they're at where they're supposed to be at, to be honest with you. That Racing Point made such a jump in speed, and that team is not putting that car where it should be. And obviously maybe it's just bad luck with Checo and everything, but
I think the jump of Racing Point is probably overshadowing McLaren a little bit. Because if Racing Point did not make that big jump, what would McLaren be?
They'd be
3rd,
6th, and 7th, just like where Hulk and Stroll finished. 6th and 7th, they would be finishing in that area. So the only other question I have for McLaren, not even a question. It's a statement. I'm going to put it out there. Lando Norris is their team number one driver. Fight me.
No.
Just because you said it like that, he is.
I think he is he's taken on that role. I don't think he's the number one driver. But he is taking on that role, but because obviously Carlos Sainz is leaving. I'm not gonna go so far in saying that Lando's a better driver than Carlos Sainz. But team leader, yeah, you can see him transitioning to that, but it's almost by default because Carlos Sainz is leaving.
No, I say that he is on his way to be at that top position with everything, the package that he's doing regarding
So
being.
you like Lando's package?
Okay, damn! Wow. No, I'm what I meant to say by that having the whole aspect of it is he is being very interactive with the team. He's always on top of social media with his
he's
team.
the meme lord. Yeah,
Exactly. So he has a lot of. He's bringing this youth into the historic team that is probably changing every aspect of how the team behaves and acts.
Yeah, and then you have somebody who's very similar to that coming into the team next year.
Ricardo,
Which is
just seeing these
Ricciardo.
guys next to each other.
it's gonna be hilarious.
But
It's gonna be awesome.
Dude, just the interview after the race.
Yeah.
where
Are
he
you
flickered
going to
his
say
hat off.
that Lando is still the team leader when Ricardo's there?
Ricardo is
But
a
Ricardo would
senior
be
guy
different.
now. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like Sainz is not the. You mentioned it before when we talked about what guys would be able to say, "Nah, I'm catching these guys. I'm not driving like a grandma." You're right. I think Ricardo would be that type because he's the honey badger.
Yes.
He's just not gonna care. So here's my thing, right? Lando Norris, 38 championship points in the driver standings. Carlos Sainz, 15. Come on, it's the same car, and this guy, Carlos Sainz, is the number one driver. What the heck?
Yeah. It's hard to argue against that.
He'll be number 2 of Ferrari again.
You know, but what's the gap between them?
The gap between them is 23 points. So if you take away, even if you take away the 15 points from the third place finish,
Yeah, he's
still 12 points, 13 points ahead.
Yeah, no, he's.
Or I'm sorry, however many points.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, he's still ahead. Yeah, he's showing the promise that McLaren saw in him when they put him in that car when he was 19 years old.
Yeah.
I like Lando.
Imagine being a Formula One driver at 19.
At 19, you can't even get a drink
beer,
in the US.
Dude.
But
Incredible.
you're driving a Formula One car.
So
Incredible.
moving on to some post-race news. Bottas accused Mercedes of being asleep at the wheel with regards to letting both Max and Hamilton finish ahead of him. He started at the pole position and ended the race at third. Toto Wolff, the team boss, countered it by saying that they just had a slower car during the race and that they learned from his pit stop, what I had said before, they learned from his pit stop that the tires could have actually extended further the hards. Ruben, where do you...
Listen, Bottas could say whatever the hell he wants. You're still the number 2 driver. So we're going to take the risk with you. We're not going to take the risk on a strategy like
But
that.
he's the race leader.
Yeah, but he was also, at that point, wasn't Max ahead of him? Because they pitted at the same time.
No.
Max was not in front of him when they pitted. Max was in front of him when they pitted.
Yeah.
Bottas followed Max. Maybe at that time he was already on the way to box and Max made a late lunch, but Max was in front of him when they pitted.
Right. But yes, you're right. And
But we're not talking about Max. What we're talking about is, Hamilton was behind him. They
Behind
gave
them.
him. Well, I'm saying in the race,
Mhm.
Hamilton was behind Bottas. Forget about everybody else. We're talking about the Mercedes drivers, right? Hamilton was behind him. They gave him preferential treatment. They pitted him first.
Okay.
Now, in that time, they pit him. They took the tires off. They saw that, there's still a lot of rubber left.
Yeah.
And they left Hamilton out longer than what he should have, which in that exchange basically put Hamilton ahead of Bottas.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically taking, not only are you switching them, you're swapping them in position, but you're also not giving him the chance to fight Max at the front.
But we also have to remember that Mercedes this whole weekend did not trust a single piece of rubber of those tires. So they reacted in the way, and obviously they have to inspect what comes in. Hey, they're not going to say on the radio we messed up. Hey, Ham, these tires look bad, but they still got meat on them. Keep going.
I think they actually did say that they may not look good, but
They did say
because Ham asked him, "Hey, these tires, no, you be good. Go ahead, push."
But I think that was after the fact that Bottas had pitted.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
it's a race, and they're learning, especially with these bad tires that they had. They're just learning
But
as
now
they
you're
go.
running the risk of creating bad blood, not between Hamilton and Bottas, but just between Bottas and the team.
Yeah.
No, but they'll just correct that, like the way they're trying to, they're just trying to make they'll make right for it.
Yeah,
but
they'll correct it by putting him in a bigger hole to Hamilton. Remember, these are the two guys fighting for the championship.
but they're still under the same team.
Verstappen
Verstappen in second place
is
now.
second place now.
Well, I mean, but at that point, what I'm saying, before the race comes in, 1, 2.
So what were you about to have them do? Have Bottas and Ham swap places?
Listen,
You can't. 'Cause
Exactly.
Ham was so much faster on a fresher set of tires on the better tires.
No, I'm trying to see, like,
it's a tough call.
it is a tough call regardless how you see it. We are learning on this race as we go from the tires, how they're behaving. It just happened
But
that.
why? But here,
So what were you having to do?
do you blame? No.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that Mercedes did the wrong thing, but
It looked that way though.
well, it looked that way to Bottas.
Exactly.
It looked that way to Bottas, and especially if you're a driver that is fighting for the championship, and from going forward, as Bottas, do you trust the team and looking out for you?
Is Bottas' career over?
No,
Look, if they had pitted Hamilton first, it would have also been a problem. So
Exactly.
regardless, it's one of those things where
You're damn if you do, you're damn if you don't.
they have to sit down and show him the data as to what they were seeing. And
At that moment.
look, the numbers, unfortunately, they don't lie. And sometimes they change. And
Mhm.
Bottas just has to accept that.
Damn, but it sucks because it's always on Bottas.
Yeah.
And it's always in the advantage of Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. And it's always in the advantage of Charles Leclerc and the disadvantage of Vettel,
Yep.
which leads
Listen,
into our
Boy,
next.
goes back to Horner's message last week. He's a lucky boy.
So Ferrari team boss Mattia Binotto, responded to Vettel's complaints during the race, saying that the issue wasn't the strategy. The issue was this freaking guy spinning at the, he didn't say it like that, but the issue was his spinning at the beginning of the race kind of throws the strategy out the window.
Qualify higher and stop spinning.
Yeah.
No, I think the spin made them react and change everything around throughout the whole race.
Listen, at the end of the day, as good as Bottas has been,
He's been solid.
He's been solid. But Hamilton outqualifies him and races better than him.
Not this week.
Not this past week.
Well, but what I'm trying to tell you is on
the aggregate.
on the aggregate, that's what happens, and that's what's happened at Ferrari. Leclerc is qualifying better and racing better than Vettel. So
it's what have you done for me lately?
don't make mistakes, man. That's it.
Yeah, we already beat this one to death.
Yeah, pretty
earlier,
much,
so-
You know what? I didn't even tell you guys this even before this race. What I love to do, just obviously F1 is never going to happen in F1. But could you imagine, since it started, Bottas, Ham, and then Hulk. Could you imagine just so Hulk could have a podium? These guys slow down and let him by.
Not at the start.
No, at the end. At the end, I mean, like
That would have been
how
awesome.
Barrichello with Schumacher happened back in the days.
Give him some points, man.
Yeah, come on, let's make history with this guy.
So
But by Lewis keeps making history as well. Okay.
the other thing is the last thing we're gonna bring up here is the there was this funny video, but the Avengers assembled
Oh my
against
God, what a video!
against Racing Point. The Avengers being Williams, McLaren, Ferrari, and Renault, they assembled against Racing Point and their illegal brake ducts. Or
Please, let's put the link to that video on the notes.
dude, it was
Oh my God, it's
I was
so
laughing
worth
for
it.
hours,
Yeah,
but-
it's so worth watching. Oh my God,
so Lance Stroll has said that he is angry.
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Sorry, yes, Lawrence Stroll. I have in the notes.
Damn, we keep bashing Lance.
So Lawrence Stroll has said that he is angry at the teams joining together to protest what he believes to be a legal car. not much to talk. I mean, we've already beaten this one to death as well. It's just, what are the novelas called?
It's not legal.
Soap operas?
bro.
Yeah, no, Marimar, like going forward, like no,
Days of Our Lives?
as the world turns, Days of Our Lives. That's what this is.
But that's the thing. It's not legal.
It is legal.
They deemed it not legal. And they're continuing to use it because they're allowed to.
But the issue is that the reason why they continue to use it is because the FIA didn't do their job at the beginning.
Yes.
So what's happening here is that, Lawrence Stroll, I get his anger because it's like, dude, we didn't do anything wrong. If we had done something wrong, you should have pointed it out to us because we showed you what we were doing in the factory.
Right.
So basically what the FIA is doing is saving face by just giving them a point reduction and giving them a fine.
So all of this is pretty much being taken, what's saving, I guess, what's back in FIA's thing. It's like, what, a matter of 6 days? Oh, no, they got the info 6 days after it was passed or something like that. That's what they were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was supposed to be before the year, so they got like January 6th or something like that. Like, what the hell? Come on, man.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's just the FIA trying to save face, but it's also unfair to the other teams.
Exactly.
Because they're gonna run apart and they keep reprimanding them. You saw that headline?
Yeah, they
reprimanded for having the race, and it's gonna happen at every race.
So
what are they supposed to use then?
But that's the whole thing. They can't change it.
It's a situation where FIA is stuck, and here's why. They need Lawrence Stroll. They need his money. They need them to become Aston Martin, and they need them to be good. Just like last year, they needed Ferrari. They need Ferrari in the championship because they are good and they have a ton of fans. So they come down real hard on the drivers, giving them points, giving them penalties. They don't come down hard enough on the teams, and they don't come with established, good, well thought out decisions.
The rules are not clear, man.
It's not that the rules aren't clear. It's that the FIA just waffles and literally just has no balls with the teams. Meanwhile, they're giving on a real racing incident, they're giving Albon 5 seconds, and it's like, yo,
can't argue there.
They're coming down hard on the drivers and not on the teams.
It reeks of political corruption, bro. This is exactly. But this is.
I think it's political correctness. It's over.
No, because the FIA is doing is covering their tracks.
Because
that's
of
what they're doing.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
They're just saving face because they didn't. It's like Wellington said.
Gotcha.
They didn't enforce the rule the way it should. And it's the same thing with Ferrari.
Last year, yeah.
It's the same thing with Ferrari. They came up with this secret agreement when Ferrari was clearly doing something wrong, and they didn't come down on them.
They need to figure this out because it takes hours to get decisions on simple penalties. They need to figure their whole crap out and then get back to us fans and then give us free F1 TV for a year, and we'll all be good.
Listen, the teams have too much power.
Ferrari does.
Well, and Racing Point now.
No,
on Racing Point.
And then Mercedes. It's the same thing.
The teams have too much power.
Yeah.
The teams have too much power. The teams basically govern themselves. This weekend I think it was after the race, Toto Wolff was the mediator between Racing Point and the rest of the teams. Shouldn't it be the FIA? Shouldn't it be John Todt?
If I'm Toto Wolff, I'm like, yo, you guys should actually buy this year's car for next year, so you can be even better.
I don't get it, but I guess this is what.
I did not know that, Yhancy. That's super funny.
Yeah,
how do you put the supplier of the brake ducts as the?
This is the soap opera.
You put the supplier of the brake ducts as the mediator.
This is General Hospital, bro. This is exactly what it is.
I'm still laughing. How do you put the supplier of the brake ducts as the mediator?
Is Toto Wolff Susan Lucci?
Yeah, and Toto comes out saying that he doesn't want her to go to appeal. What is it? Whatever, man. It's just like we can beat this to death.
Is the FIA the new Olympics?
It just doesn't make any sense.
Right? Is the FIA the new Olympics?
The FIA is like FIFA. Bro.
I'm sorry, yeah. There you go, the FIFA. I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh my God.
Is the FIA the new FIFA?
Yeah, so again, it's just as the world turns with this, we'll be dealing with this for the whole season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at least we got something to talk about.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up that topic. Moving on, ending the show, really. Another race coming up in Barcelona. We'll actually talk about that in another episode coming later on this week. Guys, do you have any? Ruben, do you have anything? You have a nice bright red Ferrari shirt, by the way, today. It's a red shirt with no logo.
Yeah,
No,
my wife did laundry today.
If you want, I can put the logo.
This is the
on
first
there
one.
for you.
No, I don't need that. Thank you.
So, Ruben, anything to add as we start to wrap up?
Listen, no, it's tough to say, but I hope the trend of because we got a super exciting race this past weekend that it keeps going to Barcelona.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's Barcelona.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if Red Bull really did take a step up. And it wasn't. Well, we want to see if they took a step up and the car's performing better. It was just based on that strategy call, and there's a lot of factors going into that, and that's something that we will discuss later on when we preview the Barcelona race.
All right. And on that note, I just want to remind everybody, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Jump the Start F1. We are available as podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Radio, TuneIn, Stitcher, and I think that's it. And then we're also on YouTube where we're uploading clips. Check them out. They're actually pretty, the thumbnails that Yhancy works on are pretty freaking funny. But that's about it. Make sure to just kind of interact with us. Our email is also jumptostartracing@gmail.com. That about wraps it up. We will talk to you guys next episode discussing Barcelona.
See you guys.
Vamos.
Yes, sir.